At any moment, President Trump will be addressing a tech investment summit in Miami Beach, Florida, and we will bring that to you live once it happens. But in the meantime, it was the Trump and Musk show on Hannity last night. The unlikely duo discussing a wide range of topics, with the president singing high praises for DOGE while tipping his hat to its head of tech support.
There's 100 geniuses. He's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
they dress in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is.
I actually literally am
much
tech
more
support.
than that.
Yeah. I actually am tech support, though. But
he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done.
Musk sharing why his fight to cut government bloat is so critical to the MAGA mission.
The bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want. Then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy. In order to save taxpayer money, it comes down to two things: competence and caring.
Later, the pair teamed up for a dual takedown of the Democrats' hysterical response to the DOGE cuts.
It's funny how often, when these attacks occur, the thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of. They're saying that things are being done unconstitutional, but what they are doing is unconstitutional. They are guilty of the crime of which they accuse us.
That's always the first thing they do. He's
Yeah.
in violation of the Constitution. They don't even know what they're talking. Well,
It's
they
absurd.
know. It's just a con job. It's a big con job. And they're so bad for the country, so dangerous and so bad. And the media is so bad. When I watch MSNBC, which I don't watch much, but you have to watch the enemy on occasion, the level of arrogance and cheating, and they're just horrible people.
Greg Gutfeld, it's your day.
Oh, thank
A
you.
day in the life of you on the cover of Variety magazine.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, it beats being on the cover of Playgirl, but
Yeah, but maybe next year.
yes, I'm working on that.
They were when Musk was saying that the Democrats do what they accuse DOGE of doing, I was reminded of when Biden knew he couldn't actually pass constitutional muster by forgiving student loans, but they did it anyway, and then the court kept striking them down. In this case, the judges so far have upheld President Trump's role.
It's been, I think, it's been the last 4 years of nothing but projection. Almost everything that they accuse Trump of doing, they're either planning on doing or have already done. We could go through those, but even also the projection is found in their accusation that DOGE isn't being transparent. Not transparent enough. Are you out of your mind? This is a criticism that they never lodged against the government. Like, how are they spending your money? Like, that should be transparent. I have to say, I'm exhausted by the transparency. I feel like I'm falling behind in everything that I hear. Every day I wake up, there's a new DOGE thing. It's like, I have enough problems. It's like it's like getting like a load of morning emails from Dana, and you go, I gotta read this. You're telling me I have to read that. Also, if the Dems are so certain that Trump's policies won't work, why not just sit back and let them fail? Their panic is telling you that they fear or they know that he's going to succeed, and that's going to prove him wrong. I also just want to comment on that relationship between the two. It's like they're like not Batman and Robin.
Jesse and Johnny.
No, because this is like an equal footing. Maybe it's the Green Hornet and Kato, but they finish each other's thoughts.
Yes.
And also, this goes back to like the idea about age, that Trump may be closing in on 80, but when it comes to technology, he's right up there. He understands AI. He can hang with these tech bros, and it's pretty seamless. This is not like the Joe Biden 80 or 79 we saw. The Democrats have a problem with this story because if a doctor tells you that they need to remove a polyp from your colon, but they need to put a camera up there, and you're like, you're not putting a camera up there. It's like, well, are you hiding something in your butt? It's like it's going to save your life. And that's all DOGE is basically a bureaucratic colonoscopy, which is necessary. And I think this is also why we needed an outsider. We've had oversight committees and we've had inspectors generals, and still billions went missing. So it's good to have an outsider come in. That's why they bring in outside consultants to audit Jesse.
so that we've put a camera up the bureaucratic
Up the government's butt.
Interesting.
Yep.
Hey, Judge, Elon Musk said that the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people. And I think that they are seeing in some of their polling, even the Democrats are starting to say, oh, wait, this is actually popular.
Yeah, it is belied by the polling. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's not just a president who won, the popular vote in the swing states and all that. This is something that is continuously being favored in the polls by the American people. But you know what I thought was so amazing about the interview? And yes, Greg, I have gotten those emails from Dana, and I do read them. I do read them in the morning. But you know how you hear about celebrities and they say the marriage is in trouble? So you look at the two of them, and Greg, you're right. They finished each other's sentences and thoughts. I mean, they were having fun. They interacted with each other. They respected each other. It was how they spoke. I mean, it was absolutely, they're happy doing what they're doing. And I was so impressed with that. And I was also impressed with the fact that, the president, and they told us the first term, it's his ego. It's always about him. No, it isn't. He brought this guy into the Oval. He let him bring his son into the Oval, X, and he's doing an interview with him. And he is recognizing and telling the American people he's so smart. I can't find anybody smarter. And even his young people who are working with him are smart. So you've got two businessmen who are, you've got the smartest businessman of our time with Elon Musk, and they're trying to help the American people. And the president has no problem sharing credit. And I like the idea that Elon had of possibly, if they reach $2 trillion, I think, rebate checks to the American people and the amount of $5,000. I mean, they're just thinking out loud, and it's refreshing.
Okay, Harold, what did you think of this interview?
I thought it was good. Good to be with everybody. I thought it was good. I will say, $55 billion is not a lot of money in the scheme of things when you look at government. It's less than 0.2% of our federal
55 million more than Joe Biden returned.
You finished?
Done.
It's $55 billion. Don't get me wrong, I'm for that. I am for rooting out the waste, fraud, and abuse. But in the real world, I just wouldn't take a victory lap this early. I think if you're gonna, I was looking for Mr. Musk to not only identify areas where there are waste, fraud, and abuse, but give me areas where we can be more efficient. Democrats, if you want to counter this, show those areas and show what you're going to use the money for once you're able to produce these savings and secure these savings and increase this efficiency, which we all want to do. I think President Trump, the interview was a great interview. Sean did a great job. This is not showering anything bad on Sean at all, or even them. But I wouldn't take a victory lap for $60 billion. I think the country is looking for this president to find ways to cut taxes on their tips, to make sure there are no taxes on people's overtime. I think you would even find more Democrats supporting this if they said, this is what we're going to use the money for. We're going to use the money for things to help. Talk about a rebate check. They don't need to reach $2 trillion for that.
But the whole idea is to reduce the size of government so that all of us can benefit.
Okay, but Dana, you and I both work together. $55 billion.
I know.
Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, again, I wouldn't take a victory lap.
How much
with
money
Sean
would
Hannity
you need to
before.
save in order to take a victory lap, Jesse?
And they haven't saved it.
I take victory laps when I brush my teeth, Dana. It's all
You're just
about
lapping the field every day.
Harold. First of all, $55 billion is a lot of money. Okay,
Not
and they
in the
haven't even
budget. I
upgraded
hear
the
you.
software yet. The software is from the 60s.
That's right.
Once they upgrade the software, you'll streamline it and you'll save money. Let me tell you a story about Chris. Chris was a guy I met at a shooting event in New Jersey last year.
Was Chris in the interview? Or this is another guy? This is Chris.
Is it a male or female?
Let me finish.
Oh.
$55 billion.
I love you. And so he was a 20-year veteran of the U.S. military. He was one of these guys in one of these elite units. Killed a lot of bad guys. Put his life on the line. And now he punched out after 20 years and working for the Pentagon. And he's only been there a few months, so he's probationary. And he just found out he's probably going to get laid off. He's going to get DOGEd. And he texted me and he said, Jesse, this isn't good. I'm upset. This is really sad. And this guy's not a DEI consultant. This guy's not a climate consultant. This guy is a veteran. So when you're talking about doging people, veterans should get priority. Because if you're going to go out there and kill enemies and put your life on the line for this country, you shouldn't be in the same category as people that are doing DEI. Now, Harold and his ilk like to talk about the slash and burn corporate ethos. We just need to be a little bit less callous with the way, Harold, we talk about doging people. Okay, I want that to sink in.
You're arguing with yourself.
I am not guilty of that. I finally found one person I knew that got doged, and it hit me in the heart. Yeah. But you talk about big ticket items, right?
Right.
Let's talk about those. The Pentagon. You have a weapons program in some influential congressman's district. It's a boondoggle. It showed no promise in a theater of war. You cut that, and that's big savings. So besides saving my friend Chris, we want bigger dividend DOGE check rebates. I don't want to pay down the debt. Put it back into the economy. This is an electoral win. The more DOGE cuts, the bigger the dividend checks. We remember how popular the stimmy checks were. And
We don't want
those
that.
were
Which
printing money.
But you just said
These are rebates.
What about
No,
the
we don't want
inflationary aspect?
rebates.
Yeah.
DOGE isn't Robin Hood.
I
Right.
want rebates.
No,
the voters want rebates.
No, but you don't.
If
The
we-
government is not it is not a piggy bank. The whole point of DOGE is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not, hey, we want to shrink government. You're not shrinking government
you're
if you're
giving money back to the taxpayer.
Okay,
if you paid money
I'm
for
winning.
$2 million,
no, but if you look at
if
it
you
that way,
paid $2 million for a sex change surgery,
Yes.
and you say that no longer is going to be in the budget, I want that money back.
okay, that's different than what you're actually saying.
That's exactly what I just said.
No, it's not.
Let's say it's a class action suit. You want to get the money back from the government because they took your money and spent on it. Fine. But that's after you cut this government down by at least $1 to $2 trillion a year to get to that point where you don't have 7 times what you're taking in 10
you're
years.
making it more complicated.
No.
We're
He's
cutting spending and we're giving it back to the taxpayers.
Then the government doesn't shrink.
Then what you should do is cut spending
Wait,
and
the
then lower
government
the
doesn't
tax
shrink.
rates.
That's exactly what the government does.
Jesse's saying, just pointed. I agree with Jesse that he has this point. But understand, I want to pay down the debt. And some point
That's
we're going
what I
to
wanna
find this
do.
tension.
I wanna pay down the debt.
You're saying, I respect what you're saying.
I'm
I don't
sorry,
agree with
Jesse.
you, but I respect you.
I want
This
to
is
pay
the
down
problem.
the debt.
Okay,
That's
we
what
can
have to
pay
do.
down the debt
That's
when
what
we
we have to
grow
do.
the economy
But
from
if-
higher revenues that the rebate checks are going to
No, no,
generate.
no.
That's what tax
Because-
cuts do.
But I thought
That's
you just,
exactly what
I thought
tax
you just
cuts do.
argued about too much money chasing too few goods, which caused more inflation.
You're printing money to cause inflation.
What?
Not here. You're printing nothing.
Wait till you hear this off camera.
Yeah. Hey, maybe one of us will record it. Just kidding. We do not do that. Coming up, Stephen A. Smith isn't pulling any punches with the Dems, telling them that they, quote, suck.